Hi, I'm Gal Pastor. The book of Genesis presents to us the earliest revelations about who God is in relation to his creation, which he declared good, and specifically the humans that he pronounced very good. When I say earliest, I don't mean that Genesis is the oldest book in the Hebrew Bible, but I mean it in a sense of chronological revelation. This is where the timeline, the plot starts. This is where we first meet God, the main character. We're going to zoom in on several early stories of God and people this February. And for that, we are going to use an interpretative tool from our hermeneutical toolbox, and we will call that tool sympathetic attention. So, who are we looking at with sympathetic attention, trying to put ourselves in that person's place? Meet Cain, decidedly not his brother's keeper, his killer instead. Gulp. I don't think so. No sympathy here cannot be done. The only way to know who God is in this, his very early relationship with humans, is to give Cain here your sympathetic attention. You have to. It is the only way that you can really experience what God is showing of himself to Cain. So pay sympathetic attention to the multitude of feelings, actions, and reactions that Cain may be experiencing here on the worst day of his life. When your parents' stories of failure, bickering, blame shifting, and departure from the perfect garden are fresh on your mind, when you can't do anything right, when you're feeling so low and so very angry at life, when you envy and you hate those around you who are doing better, when you lure and flat out lie, when you destroy the existence of the person closest to you, when you dare to take a life with such hubris like you don't personally know the life giver, when your insanely impulsive act leads you to bemoan your own existence, when you know in your bones that your just punishment is coming and that your end is surely upon you. Anger, pain, loss of reasoning, loss of control, loss of hope, fear, and utter isolation. With Cain, we hold our breath. What will the Almighty Creator do to the first murderer? At this point, Cain knows a bit about who he's dealing with. Is God powerful is not a question he's asking. Does God have the authority over me is not a question he's asking. He knows the answer. Is God just in judging me for this is not the question he is asking, but what else is he? What else is this creator, this mighty, holy other? When brother farmer invites brother shepherd into the field to kill him, how could now brotherless farmer possibly ever farm there again? Of course he can't stay, that's a given. Out of here, he must go. The second further expulsion on the heels of his parents. Expelled from the land and from God's presence, both. I will die surely, Cain says to God. Not so, God responds. Not so. What then befalls the first murderer? He will be marked for protection of his life. Now, what could it have been? Whether it was a physical mark or some type of token or pledge or a sign, it was a guarantee of safety and life preservation. God expels Cain from his own presence, but the mark is a sign, a certain representation of God's presence, ain't it? To us, the sign is a mystery, but whatever it was, to Cain, it was a mark of a relationship. Every time from then on, he faced danger. He knows God wants me to live. God wants me to live. What? No death for Cain on account of the brother's slaying, but instead sevenfold death and vengeance for anyone killing him. With Cain perplexed, we learn the answer to the question, what else is he? This is the keeper, better, much greater keeper emerges. Hashomer is the word, someone who watches, guards, preserves, protects. To Cain, surely this is an inexplicable level of devotion to a relationship that by every human calculation has spectacularly blown up. Cain doesn't have a word for it. The verb to love is not yet even spoken in the Bible. The concept of love has not yet been even introduced. We know that in a little while, as it progressively reveals more about God's heart, the Bible is going to start using the word love to describe God's relationship with his created beings. And we know that the flavor, the demonstrable quality, the intensity of that love is going to be portrayed as something radically different, greater than our human range. And several thousand years later, this greater love, the love capable of something truly extraordinary toward another person, will be defined in a specific image, laying down one's life for a friend, and then culminating in the acting out of the same image. Here, very early in Genesis, the image of that same greater love is the marking of a murderer for his safety. A couple of verses down, we learn that in some time, Cain recovers his ability to form another close human relationship, have a wife, and even nurture a son in whose future he invests. God's gentle protection of Cain after a brutal murder is not an anomaly. It is a clear, intentionally revealed indication of the character of the one who deals with you on the worst days of your life, when you've lost all sanity and good judgment and done unspeakable things.